So Rochelle, take it away.
Awesome. So, my name is Rochelle Lauda, and I am the sales manager for North America. So, hello and welcome to everybody. We have Chip Brush here, who is the solutions engineer for North America. He'll be doing most of the talking today. I'm super fast. I know nobody wants to hear a sales pitch here, but we are KeyShot. We are basically the industry standard for 3D product visualization. We can go from CAD to anything, and we will show you that today. So if you want to move on to the next slide, just a brief overview on KeyShot and who we are. We've been around since 2010. We've been an industry leader for 3D rendering. In short, here we have about 52 of the Fortune 100, and we have about 65-70% of the Fortune 500. So huge names. Our specialty and kind of our sweet spot has historically been with industrial designers in the manufacturing space, but has been kind of moving down the visualization journey line from product design to market, and we'll kind of discuss that. We have over 30,000 customers worldwide. And the core product that we're going to talk about today is our KeyShot Studio Pro. If we want to move to the next slide, so I can keep this super quick. So as I mentioned, we kind of historically started in industrial design, kind of on the where you see the car there for product design, really for ideation, being able to have some type of imagery before you go and manufacture a product. So if you have a new season of sunglasses or something that's coming out, that you can kind of visualize that before you take it to be actually manufactured. But that's been our sweet spot. But since then, we've kind of moved down the visualization journey. Whereas if you needed color, materials, and finish kind of exploration, you can do that and actually create a whole document that you then send to your manufacturers that details out the different parts and the pieces that are required for manufacturing. Then kind of through the packaging and labels, if you had you're an Apple iPhone, let's say, and you've actually used the imagery with a 3D imagery with KeyShot for the actual product itself, but then also how it's packaged. You can use the 3D rendering solution to determine that and the variations of those products as well for the packaging piece of it. Then we're sort of moving down the lane as after something has manufactured, you might have tech specs. You might have how do you assemble some of these pieces together? How, if you ever bought furniture through Wayfair and you look at this manual and trying to put together all the parts and pieces, we can do that. We can actually do the tech publications piece through our KeyShot solution as well. And then if you take it all the way down the line to kind of creative services, once it gets to the marketing department, I know for me, just being a sales rep, I want to be able to have various marketing collateral that I can use. And as opposed to taking photos, actual real photos of a product, you can use KeyShot 3D rendering for actually those marketing collateral pieces, as well as then any type of you want to expose your product to the public on an e-commerce website or on just your regular website. As opposed to using photography, you can use our 3D rendering solution. So we'll stop there, considering we only have a few minutes to talk about this, but I'm going to have Chip jump in and actually show you the product live. So here we go.
Excellent. Thanks, Rochelle. Appreciate the tee up. Yeah, all good stuff. We're going to actually step through more of the engineering, industrial manufacturing workflow as part of this process to really show you what the power of KeyShot is. And all of those different use cases that Rochelle just mentioned, I think can be very poignant. Let's actually look at a few here. I'm going to use a geometry that most of you who are in the CAD and design world are probably familiar with. Your geometry, your 3D model can come over from any application. I'm choosing to use more of a Bobcat skid steer here as an example. If I click import here on the lower part of KeyShot Studio Professional, what you'll notice just by showing the formats that we're able to bring in, that you're probably familiar with one of these many different design applications that we actually have standards developed around for immediate import and use of that model, Creo, Maya, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, you name it. We have the ability to bring that in natively and produce a 3D rendered model quickly in high resolution in our real-time view here in the center. As well as what we call plugins that are actually a piece of code that connects your CAD application if you happen to be running that on the same box you're doing your rendering. And it produces what we call live linking that can actually connect those together. So any changes you make in real time, those can be imported and brought into KeyShot Studio so you can start your rendering and continuing those renders workflows very quickly and easily. Okay, so let's look at how easy it is to begin that process. So again, it's brought in with some fairly muted, mundane textures and colors that were brought over from the CAD application itself. What I'm going to do is actually start to show you how we can use our library. Here, it's over here on the left. You'll notice I have materials, which is any number of hundreds and hundreds of different industry standard materials, scientifically accurate materials, things like zinc and polished stainless, things like that, painted surfaces. I can even say, if I need a painted surface, I can say, let's go with red. Let's try to do a red paint. And I can find a lot of different paint options, including things like cutaways. We'll look at those in just a minute as well. But I can take like a textured red paint and say, well, I want to actually apply that to part of my model. We'll go with that red that is so very clear and pronounced for most of the Bobcat world. I can actually look at that red paint now and I can dial it into just that color that I might need and the value that it's necessary for very quickly and easily with just simple drag and drop. If I need a white paint, I can actually go in and find that white gloss. Yeah, there it is. And that's the one we mostly can identify with. And I can part this in and actually bring in all the nice color, texture, highly reflective surfaces. You'll notice to every part of this geometry. But what if I want to do just to apply it to everything? I could actually go to the project over here on the right. I can actually find that part of my project and say, grab the very top of my geometry if I need to, or that piece that actually says, I want to apply this to the whole frame. I then can apply it here as well. Now I'm applying it to big supersets of my structure. So very quickly, you can go from 0 to hero and bring your entire CAD model to life in just a few number of steps. So really wanted to show you this ease of use in the process of tweaking, refining, even doing things like changing the roughness and the reflectivity, the refractive index of the entire paint and the part that you actually are working with here to give just the reflectivity, the color, and the texture that you may need to apply in this context as well. And so it's a super easy process. One of the aspects of how we can break up a KeyShot project is to use what we call model sets. I'm about to pull a Julia Childs on you, and I'm going to jump over to a quick, here's a fully baked, we already went through the process of what I was just doing, applying matte materials, textures, colors to all parts of this design, okay? And you'll notice that it's resing up in real time. I've even applied things like distortions and colors and scratches and things like that to my scene, really giving lots of detail, color, even dirt on the tires to give me a realistic look for things like product marketing, website, publications, things like that. And in that context, I can actually do what we call go to our material graph, which is very helpful. A material graph is a very detailed view of showing all the things that went into making that rubber tire look as natural as it is. This node-based editor gives us all the plastic, all the colors, all the distortions, the textures, the noise, the scratches that are applied in layers on top of that geometry piece to really give it all the natural look that you're looking for in the scene. All right. So with that, we can do what we call color variants and what we call multi-materials. I'll go back to that same color or that same part we saw earlier. And you'll notice when I double click on it, I can see the multi-materials, which is very easy to manage. So if I have CMF opportunities, we know we're going to go to market with a white, maybe a dark gray option, a red, or maybe even a yellow. I can see all those in the combinations of colors that are approved, identified as options maybe we want to go for marketing with, and every part and subset and pick exactly the color combinations I want that I may want to go to render on. So really helpful to be able to build and establish all those. And then I can actually go in and say, if I want to do a green, we'll actually go in and find a nice green, and we can pick, there's an anodized color. It's probably a little harsh. But there's like a hard shiny. We can actually bring that in, and then we can dial that into and change that plastic color, and really change all the characteristics of that to get just exactly what we might want to see as a go-to-market option to spitball with the team and see if that's something we wanted to do. So really easy to develop all those multi-material options and really refine that with the team. So really great to be able to do that very quickly. Okay, let's go back to another model set. And these are how we really differentiate use cases and scenarios. And I'll actually run a quick animation. One of the aspects of KeyShot, which is super helpful, is to provide animation. So if we need to see range of motion, how parts are assembled, linkages between those parts, we can inherit a lot of those things from the CAD application. So if you have linked parts that actually run in context here for something like the bucket movement, you'll notice the hydraulics, the armatures for the control areas, all linked together in the CAD application, brought over into KeyShot so we can run those with all the textures, colors, materials, and environment lighting that you might want to see. Great for those quick videos on the website for marketing, as well as for engineering and even safety. So great to be able to see we can do that as well. I wanted to also show you one additional piece, which I think is really great. And this is when you get into a change on, hey, we're needing to use this for a different purpose. The line art model gives us that use of something we call a tune shader. And a tune shading can actually be applied. You'll notice there's lots of tune opportunities over here as we're looking at different fills and things that can make up what we call more of a documentation, tech specs, and EPUBs type outline of the actual drawing itself. And what you'll notice too is if I go into look at that tune shader, what we can have is the ability to apply it to the entire model, get a very interesting review of the model in a far less high fidelity view. And we can even very much tailor this to the exact use case you need for documentation, for design. I can change the contour width of the outline, the shadow strength to give it some depth of understanding, and even what is called transparency. And it is probably what you guessed it to be. If I need to really take the skin of this model and start to break it down and show you the bones underneath, I can start to see all the subcomponents and the sub-assemblies that are making up my model in real time underneath. Really great for doing things like exploded views and even animations to show what's going on under the skin. So really great to see what we can do there. And then we can do some interesting things here with those same animations, which is a lot of fun. And this is an animation actually built in KeyShot, not brought over from the PTC Creo model that it came from. But what it can do is then create an opportunity for me to say, hey, I want to build this out as, let's say, an exploded view, a walkthrough to show you how the wheel assembly is created, maybe for maintenance activities or assembly diagrams. Create an AVI to show, the people who are doing tire changes quickly, how you can do that very easily. All different use cases for, again, the same CAD model. So we're using different use cases, different functions, all using KeyShot to really take this to market for all the helpful subsets that you might need to use for developing those workflows for different parts of your business on the launch of a new product. All right, so let's switch again, and we're going to go down to, and I'll go back to my main camera one more time. And
just so that we don't forget, remember to touch on all the AI, some of the backgrounds.
Yeah, sure will. I'm going to do that at the end, actually. Thanks for the reminder, though. Appreciate it. And we're going to go to what we call the cutaway model. This is a great opportunity for us to do a very, I would say, non-destructive review of the KeyShot model that we brought in and really bring in all the vantage points that might be helpful. I'm going to change cameras. You'll notice we have a number of different cameras here. So if I'm looking at the cutaway, I can see a side view, and I can actually see like a close-up view of maybe some subcomponents to show the strength of material, the subassembly makeup and design. So you really don't have to take your literal design product, do sections of those in a physical sense in the studio to really give your buyers, your engineers, all the deep detail they need to understand the makeup of your product and the assemblies. So it really gives you a ton of great opportunity to break that up. And even in this context, which is super helpful, I can then back out here a little bit. Cutaways can either be selective on what you cut away, and I'll show you how this works. We actually have a cube component that makes up the cutaway function. And I'll double click on that cube. What you'll notice is it's highlighted here. It's a clear cube, and you can use different geometric shapes as part of your cutaway function. Think cylinders, think flat planes, obviously cubes. We can do that. And you can move those cubes, which has been very helpful. So I could say, if I need another plane of access, I can move that particular cube and see just what I might need as part of the cutaway. You'll notice I can see just the depth of cut to get exactly the detail I need to expose. And when I do that, what I can do as well is even change what's exposed or what's kept intact as part of that model. So let's say I need to build an exclusion in this case. It'll give me an object selection menu. I can pick it out of the space, say I want the seat to be intact, and there you go. Now my seat is fully intact and excluded as part of the cutaway, or maybe even something like the bucket itself. So I can pick a part of the bucket here and say, yep, make the whole bucket excluded from that model. Now I've got the full bucket as well as the full seat, but it really brings the rest of the model to life in that cutaway process. We'll let that res up for a second in real time there. So lots of opportunity to show some real clear detail on what's included and what's under the skin for this particular Bobcat model. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you, and we'll go back to our context model just for a moment. And we can actually bring in what we call our environmental. And this is going to be interesting because what it provides is a new layer of context for how you may want to take your product shots to market. So I'm going to turn on my GPU here, let this res up for just a second. And what that'll give you is the ability to really bring in lots of other geometric shapes, backgrounds, objects, even things like HDRIs. So those high dynamic resolution information coming from all the grasses, all the geometric shapes, even things like we've got rocks in the scene as well. But we can even bring in other environments too. Like an environment here, put it in the scene of choice. In this case, we've got a nice high definition background. And this is bringing in all the real-time lighting information that you'd expect to see from those very expensive cameras that can produce all those effects that we need to see of coloration on my model, midday lighting, things like that, to give me just the sort of look I'm going for at any particular environment. And all these can be used in context of those same animations we talked about as well. So I could even go to, and let's just go to a different camera here. Let's say we wanted to be in the context of the cab view. So I can then do like the animation here. We'll bring up our animation pane again, and I'll run the bucket here. So you can get really a first-person perspective view in a real-world lighted environment in the field doing work to understand what it looks like from the user's perspective. So now I can actually see this in rotation to see all my tolerances, where my controls are. I can see a lot of detail to really help how this experience would look like from a first-person standpoint. Lots of great opportunity here as well. So you've got lots of benefit here. You'll notice even I've got a patch where the generated grass is just removed underneath the bucket. So you really can actually have a lot of detail shown with very little work. It's really great to be able to see this in real time very quickly. Not a ton of work to get here. The ease of editing is super quick. So lastly, I wanted to close with a little bit of AI shots. AI is obviously part of our world, part of every application these days that are keeping up with pace, and that's what we've done as well. We've introduced artificial intelligence on system. By the way, it's very important to mention that our AI integration is part of the workflow where it looks at the model itself and what you can do in context of the geometric shape. So it actually looks at and understands the context geometry in the shape in the real time view. But AI shots gives us the ability to do some really great work. I've got a number of shots over here I've built, and not to go through a ton of things in real time with you guys, but obviously to show you what we can do in context pretty quickly. I've got we'll go back to our context model. I'll even go back to our red. I'll go back to our traditional here and back to our white environment just to show you sort of where we started. But what we can do very quickly is to create just with a standard prompt. You'll notice we've got the a colorway. Maybe we want to do some restyling, and we've got a few modes here. I'll bring to focus. Restyle is one of those modes. It gives us that opportunity to look at colorway, CMF exploration. What are the color combinations we want to try to achieve? We can ask AI to help us with that just with a simple prompt here. Background as well. So you can actually go into how do we generate backgrounds? How do we put an in context shot? So what used to take several hours to create, now we can do it in a matter of minutes with a simple prompt. And I've even got a few here, like if I go ahead and open that up, we'll double click just to show you. It gives you a good high resolution image, and my prompt obviously included things like an orange and black colorway with some yellow wheels and a polished stainless bucket. So a lot of great opportunity just to get some quick ideation shots involved in your dialogue with your design team and your marketing team to say, hey, is this the kind of thing we're looking to create? Then you can take the time to go through it and really polish that with KeyShot and make it beautiful for your e-commerce pipeline, your product documentation, and things of that nature. And additionally, we've got things that I mentioned, the background, so we can create those in-context shots really quickly, even doing things like excluding how the AI is either encroaching or coming over our geometry to show the grass coming up around. And this was a very quick and dirty AI shot query I gave and command prompt to really build out just a quick in context shot to be able to share with my team. And then you can continue to develop that. I wanted to mention we even provide, this is maybe a lesser known function, but we have a prompt assistant that we developed in AI shots. Our lead trainer, Don Tuttle, built this out for our customers to be able to say, hey, I'm looking to create some really dynamic environments. Here's some great ways to do that restyling and background generation. Imagines that third mode is just really more of an exploration mode. So really create some unique and very detailed backgrounds, backplates maybe, things of that nature, really to give you some great guidance on how to use AI shots to the best advantage in your workflow. So with that, I wanted to turn it back over to Rochelle, but really just wanted to close with the fact that this CAD model, you've seen we covered it for an engineering perspective, CMF exploration, assembly instructions, operator perspective, marketing visuals, all those things you can do just in the context of one model exported from your CAD application into KeyShot Studio Pro. So Rochelle, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chip. So hopefully we've given you enough of an appetizer, if you will, kind of a basic demo with a little bit of entry into our AI shots. If anybody's looking for a more specific or more detailed, presentation around maybe it's just more AI shots, maybe it's just more animation, whatever it may be, we're happy to work with you and Robert and 3HTI to help get those questions answered. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. But Robert, if you want to coordinate that for us to go ahead and assist you, that would be wonderful as well. But I'll turn it over to you to close out here with your customers.
A couple of questions that came in. So if there's any questions or any comments, you can feel free to either ask right now or you can respond to the email that was sent to you. So one question that came in is, how did you create the grass effect?
Yeah. So the grass effect is more, it's like it's a fuzz effect that you can distort. So if you think about trying to put maybe make a sweater, right? And we've got lots of fabrics and things like that in the context of our library. So we've got lots of different textures that you can create and create bumps and distortions. So those can become a very cool way to bring in very unique other geometries. That's another geometry, a geometric piece that you can bring in and then create the denseness, the randomness of the grass, and bring that into to create the field of fabric or fibers. Essentially, is what they are. But we turned it into grass with coloring and shadowing, things like that. So really quick to be able to do that.
Another question came in regarding the type of computer that you're using in order to be able
Good question.
to be able to utilize the backgrounds and everything.
Yeah. So great question. This is this is more of almost a gaming computer, but it's very much design focused as well. This is it's an Asus that is running localized graphics processing with an NVIDIA RTX 5090. So that's very important, especially for the localized AI shots that's running on system. Again, this is running all local. This is not pushing off into the cloud. So know that that's the hardware that would probably be recommended. I would say shoot pretty high when you're looking to build out your rendering system. This is running 24 gigs local graphics processing with 92 gigs of system memory. So yeah, it's a pretty powerful laptop. So yeah, we can obviously share that with your customers when they're looking to spec out what a rendering rig might look like, whether in a tower or a mobile platform. So happy to help with that.
Excellent. Well, guys, thank you very much for the overview and the presentation today. Like I said before, if you have any other questions or you need to get some more detail on anything regarding KeyShot, you can respond to the email that was sent as the invitation to this webinar, and I will gladly get you in contact with the people from KeyShot if we can't handle the question or whatever, give you the detail that you're looking for. So this recording will be uploaded onto YouTube sometime later this afternoon or tomorrow, and everybody will get a link to that recording. So thank you very much to our audience for being on today, and I'd like to thank Rochelle and Chip for doing an excellent job in going over KeyShot, starting with a little bit of detail with what KeyShot is for those who are attending that may not be familiar with KeyShot, and then going into the AI capabilities. Thanks again, everybody. We appreciate it, and have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks much. See you.